My net worth just reached over $1 million, and I wanted to create this video today to share with you the 20 life lessons I wish I knew at 20 years old. And just to give you some context, 4 years ago, I was $25,000 in debt. I was working a corporate job. I had student loans, and I became debt-free in 6 months. And then within the next year, I had saved my first $10,000. And now we're here today in 2024, and my net worth just crossed over $1 million. So I want to share with you these lessons to just hopefully give you some insight and maybe learn from some of my mistakes. So let's dive in. Number one is that nothing lasts forever. And I think this is such a great concept because think of it like when you have a breakup when you're young, right? You're so upset and you're sad. It could be a friend breakup, romantic relationship breakup. And then you start to realize that thank God nothing lasts forever, right? Imagine you were like still with that person or you still had that friend. And I think this is such a great reminder because even the most difficult moments don't last forever. So we often think like, oh, I want this moment to last forever if it's positive or happy, but nothing lasting forever is actually a really good thing because you always have the opportunity to begin again. And then number two is if it won't matter in 5 years, don't worry about it for more than 5 minutes. And I love this because I used to be such a people pleaser. I would always be like, what does this person think about me? What do they think about my content? And I've come to the conclusion that if this person won't be in your life or this situation won't matter, don't waste your time today because the present moment is being in the now and being in the here, right? So it's like if you're going to get so upset or worked up about a friendship or a lost business opportunity, where are you going to be 5 years from now? Is this thing going to still be in your life? And it's such a classic piece of advice, but I absolutely love it. And then number three is that your brain is your greatest asset. And I learned this one really young. When I was super young, I actually had a life coach. I went through therapy for many years, and I'm so grateful for my mom for putting me through that. But then after therapy, I actually switched to going to a coach, and I really saw the value in having a coach. And it totally shifted my mindset to be more of a growth mindset. And it was such an untapped opportunity. So when I was working my corporate job and I had summer internships in college and things like that, I always invest in personal development books because I didn't have that much money. And then once I became debt free and I started to get more money, I started to invest in courses and online education, and I started to teach myself high income skills. So this has served me really well. I mean, now I have an online education company because I believe in this one so much, but I think it's also just reminded me that no one could ever take away your brain. Like your brain is yours. So even if everything hit the fan, you still got you and you still got your brain. And I think that's one of the safest investments you can always make in yourself. And number four is a quote that someone recently told me just a few months ago, and it's by Pablo Picasso, and it's learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. And I absolutely love this because it reminds me so much of content creation. And when we're creating content, we're always trying to stay within some sort of framework or something like that. But what about if you could just learn how to create content, how to start a business, and then you do it your way, you make it your own? And that's what this phrase really means to me. And then number five, which is building a business is the greatest path to service. So I remember when I was super young, I would always be the friend that wanted to have a lemonade stand. I sold my clothes on Poshmark. I was always kind of looking for these little business opportunities. And what I absolutely love about this lesson is that I wish I knew sooner how good building a business is. And most people kind of shit on entrepreneurship, regular people, because they're like, oh, people have such limited money mindsets when it comes to entrepreneurs or people making a lot of money. Stop listening to those people and listen to this piece of advice that building a business is not just going to help you in your financial situation. It's going to help so many others. So by having a business, I've been able to create more wealth for this world, not just for myself. So it's yeah, my business has made over $2 million to date, but I've also been able to help my clients generate over $1 million. And I mean, that's such a path of service. And I'm really into spirituality and mindset and kind of all that work. And what I come to realize about this is the more money you make, the better it is for this world. And I wish more people understood that. So start a business. It's not for everyone, but if you're watching this, you probably want to become an entrepreneur because that's who my content is geared towards. It is one of the greatest paths of service that you could do do for yourself and for this world. And that brings me to number 6, which is your trauma can make or break you, so let it make you. And what I mean by this is, one of my favorite quotes is that you can't choose the cards you're dealt, but you can choose how to play the game. So we're all given this like unique set of traits, personality, strengths, weaknesses. Learn to use that to your advantage. So like, I didn't have the best and brightest childhood. I have a lot of trauma that I've worked through many years of therapy and coaching and my own spiritual work and prayer and a lot of different things that I'm not going to get into in this video. But what I learned is that, and I actually learned this from one of my coaches when I was much younger, was you can use fire to warm up a house, or you can use it to burn down the house. Choose to let it warm up the house. And that's how I've always looked at trauma, where it's like a lot of people try to use trauma as a means to their identity. Like, oh, well, I had this traumatic thing happen to me, and I'm compassionate towards people like that. But I also think that if you kind of use that to make you successful, you're going to just be in a much better place mentally, financially, spiritually. So it's like, for me, I have my own stuff. Like, for example, I've had this really deep underlying fear of scarcity for like almost all of my life. And it's taken me years and years to like rewire it. And it's actually served me in a lot of ways. And it's served me in the way of building my business and being so motivated to be a high performer. So it's like, that would be a great example of using trauma to your advantage. And then number 7 is choose to be a student of life for life. And I love this one because I hate when I talk to older people and they're like, I already know that, or yeah, I know, right? Be a student. Always be curious. I mean, I'm in my 20s and I coach people in their 50s and their 60s. And these are the people who want to learn the internet. They want to learn digital marketing. They want to learn how to make online courses. Like, that's fucking amazing. Be that person. Be that person that asks questions. Never think you know everything, and always be willing to learn more. And then number 8 is learn how to work the system, or else you'll always be working for the system. So when I first got my corporate job, it's like kind of funny that I think back on it, because my parents are actually both entrepreneurs. And I used to think to myself, oh, like having a corporate job is the dream, because I saw my parents come from a background of like hustling and bustling as an entrepreneur. And what I've come to realize now is like, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to necessarily break free from the system. But I do think like most people who break out of the matrix, who choose to live a path of financial freedom, spiritual freedom, mental freedom, aren't being controlled by somebody else. So think about how this system works, right? You're actually rewarded for being an entrepreneur, right? It's like we see these funny memes and jokes and stuff about like tax deductions and how you can make mailbox money and passive income, blah, blah. Like, this world is built to benefit entrepreneurs. So think about, oh, if I start a business, I can write off my lifestyle expenses. I can write off my business expenses. I can invest and continue to learn and to grow. And it's like, the more money you make, the more benefits that you have. So why not learn the skill of making money, where it's like, right now in my life, now that my net worth has gotten to the top 1%, and I mean, for my age, I'm like the 0.0001%, like, where I think about this is so important is make your first avenue cash flow. So it's like, I generated over $2 million from my business before I started thinking about like wealth strategy and things like that, because yeah, like I've always had that background. I used to be a financial advisor. So yes, I've definitely had some tools in the shed, but what it really comes down to is actually learning how to make money, right? So my mom always says, you can have the cow that produces milk every single week, or you can kill the cow and eat one time, right? So what is the cash flowing opportunity that you want to build and create? And then you can worry about what to do with the money after you make the money. So what is that initial opportunity? That's what your focus should be on. If you're watching this video right now and you want to grow your wealth, have a cash flowing opportunity first and an investment strategy second. Because the truth is, you're only going to make a lot of money on your money if you have a lot of money to put into it. And number 9 is specific to business owners, and that's the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is. And when I first started coaching, I was a one-on-one coach, right? So it's like, pay me this much money and I'll give you a 1-hour coaching call. But I realized that wasn't the real way to leverage. language. So I started building a online education company, and I productized my knowledge by creating an online course. Now, it's not just like Julia's online course. Yeah, my personal brand stands behind it, but the course is a system. So I want you to think about, how can you productize your knowledge so that it can rely and run without you? So the company that I've built is dependent on a social media sales system. It's not just dependent on one-on-one coaching with Julia. And this is the best lesson that I learned that I wish I knew sooner, because I would have done this sooner. I read this quote somewhere, but I don't know where it is. And it's number 10. And it's, what the caterpillars call the end, the butterfly calls the beginning. Now, butterflies are my spiritual sign, so I have a specific love and passion for butterflies, but every ending is a new beginning. And think about like some of your darkest days that you've had in your life. If you just think back and you realize that that opened a door to something new, the faster you can adapt and walk through that new door, the more successful you're gonna be. Because I think the older that you get and the more successful that you become, you start to realize that it's not always about everything being perfect. And one of my other favorite quotes is, you're not meant to feel happy all the time, you're meant to feel everything all the time, where it's like, things have to die so new things can begin. And number 11 is that patience will eventually smash into opportunity. So I remember when I was first starting my business and I hit my first 10K month, I thought like in 30 days I was gonna hit 100K a month. And I think it's so funny because business totally comes in waves, where it's like you kind of reach these income levels almost in a systematic way, where like it's pretty rare that you would go from like 10K a month to 100K a month in 1 month. But I just thought like, oh, if I set my mind to it, I could do it, and you know, X, Y, and Z. And now I'm kind of at this point where it's like kind of funny, because it took me 4 years to hit my first 100K month. And if I didn't just keep being patient with myself and give myself the opportunity to keep going, keep trying, keep investing, keep working with coaches, you know, keep learning the ways, I don't think I would have ever got there. So it's like sometimes you just have to be patient because everyone's on their own timeline. Number 12 is one I'm still working on. Like, I by no means am making this video to tell you that I'm all perfect now, and if I knew these things at 20 years old, I'd be even more perfect. Like, no, I have plenty of flaws, plenty of things I'm still working on myself, and this is one of them. And that's number 12, is that comparison is a thief of joy. And I love this so much, where it's like, if you haven't been able to tell already, I'm a very timeless person. Like, I wear very simple clothes, very timeless fashion. I have timeless business principles that I use to run my business for my life. And I'm the same way like with my quotes, but it's like I apply them to my specific situation. So this timeless principle of comparison as a thief of joy is like, anytime I'm creating content and then I look at somebody else and I'm like, oh, I should do it that way, or I should run my business that way, it has gotten me in way more trouble than it's ever made me successful. Because when you're creating a business, when you're creating content, anything that you're doing, the best ideas are the original ideas. So it's like, it could be based off of a foundation, a skill, because yes, like running a business and being an entrepreneur and creating content is a skill to be acquired, but the real success is in your uniqueness. So stop comparing yourself. Like, damn, sometimes I just have to get off of Instagram, I have to get off of social media, and I just have to like stay in my own lane. And I always ask myself, like, if I wasn't so swayed by what other people were doing, how much closer to my goal would I be? And social media is an interesting concept, right? Because it's like my whole business runs on social media. I obviously love social media, but at the same time, I understand that social media can sometimes do more harm than good. So it's like creating a really healthy relationship and a healthy boundary with your social media is so important. And number 13 is another one I learned definitely too late, is give more than you take. So anytime I used to like work with a coach or I used to invest in something, I almost had this like scarcity mindset around like, I need to get all my questions answered. I need to like shove it all in this container. And it kind of robbed me of being of value to the other people in the group. And hosting now communities myself and having a community and, you know, having my social media presence has taught me that community is everything, and generosity will get you to where you want to be. So it's like me putting out all this free content is giving more than I ask from you. So like maybe I'll ask you to subscribe to my channel, or I'll ask you to apply to work with me in my academy or buy one of my digital products, but I give way more than I ask or than I hope to take. And when you can kind of have this like uneven balance, you're always going to be successful, because being of value is the the secret to being successful in this world. Which brings me to number 14, which is gratitude is the secret to happiness. Anytime you're sad, just find something to be grateful for. And remember that someone always has it worse than you. And anytime I zoom out and I think about this, it really brings me back to thinking about the fact that I'm right now in the place that I once dreamed of being. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So I want you to think about that, like really deeply think about it and ask yourself, what's one thing I could be grateful for right now? Number 15, every expert was once a beginner. I'm grateful I learned this one early, if I'm being honest with you. I used to consume Gary Vee like I was drinking water. I lived, breathed everything Gary Vee from like age 17. And that was such a blessing for me because I really understood how to show up without needing to be perfect. Where it's like so many creators or so many business owners, so many people that I know only create content when they feel good, only run their business when they feel good. You only become the best by doing it every day, getting 1% better every day. I mean, building a business is like being a professional athlete, in my opinion. If you want to be like the best business owner, you have to be a high performer. You have to build it in a way that you're going to outperform the rest. And the best way to become the best is to be a beginner. And don't be afraid to be a beginner in different areas of your life. Like there's so many ways that I'm a beginner, like every year in so many different things. Like I want to take dance classes, I want to take acting classes. And this used to hold me back a lot because I would be like, oh, I'm embarrassed to do this in front of other people. Or I'm like, what are people going to think of me? Be a beginner and embrace being a beginner, because that's how you become an expert, is by being a beginner and sucking, and keep sucking until you get good, and then you get great, and then you become the expert. And number 16 is to value your time as much as you value your money. Ooh, like this is another one I probably learned like a year ago. And wow, like now that I realize my hourly rate is $2,000 an hour, I spend my time a lot differently. So it's like, I used to spend, like no joke, when I was first starting my business, like 4 hours a day just like consuming other people's content. And now I realize that that's not going to get me anywhere. And that's like $8,000 of a deduction to my business. And that's really how I think about it. So think about like what your time is worth, and then where is it worth being spent? And then number 18 is that opportunities often come disguised as challenges. Ooh, this is such another good one, because anytime we feel like we failed or we feel like something's not working for us, it's such a beautiful moment for you to think about and have a brand new opportunity in your life. And oftentimes we're like, my world's falling apart, my business is sucking, right? All these things. But I want you to really think about like every great opportunity that's happened in your life has come after a difficult situation or some kind of clarity, right? Some kind of difficult moment. Like this year, I went through a really like dark and difficult period for about a month. And in that moment, like I could kind of see beyond it and be like, okay, this is gonna get better one day. But like that one day did not feel today for 30 plus days. And that was painful. But on the other side of that is like this newfound clarity and happiness and new beginning. So when you have a challenge presented to you, ask yourself instead, what's the opportunity? All right, we're almost done. So number 19, success without integrity is failure. Another really great. So why do you do the things that you do? Like there's so many times that we can just look up to coaches and mentors and creators and be like, well, they did it this way, so I should do it like this. But what is your integrity? What is your truth? Like I'm gonna always choose my truth and my integrity over chasing a dollar, over getting a client. Like you have to focus on what matters to you, because it's just you versus you when your head hits the pillow at night. And then of course I save my best one for last, is that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, it's greener where you water it. And I absolutely love this one, because oftentimes we think like, oh, if I just had her business, or if I just had her partner, or I had her house, my life would be easier. But the truth is that what are you working towards building every single day, right? I often think about my relationship, right? I think a lot of people look to my relationship with my partner and they say, oh, like you're so lucky, like where do I find a guy like this? I had to become this woman before I could attract a guy like that. We grew this partnership to the level of its strength together. It's the same thing with building a house, building a business. Like, there's no such thing as a passive relationship, and that's a relationship with your business, with your customer, with your partner, with your health. You have to leave deposits in it every single day. So it's like, what is the grass that you need to water every single day? And this one's so important because like one of my personal challenges right now is like just staying focused on my goal and being so consistent with the boring work to get me to my next goal, my next milestone. So with that being said, I want you to think about like, what are the things that you need to do today to water your grass? What are the things that you need to do every single day to get to where you want to be? Because the only thing stopping you is more time in the game, right? Bonus one, I guess, that I just thought of that I didn't add here. Time in the market is more important than timing the market. So what can you sustainably do every single day? How do you build a life that you're in a growth mindset every day? You're growing, you're adding to your business, you're adding to your mental health, you're adding to your spiritual well-being. Like, it's an everyday project. It's not like in 30 days or in 50 days and 60 days. What do you need to do every day in order to become the person that you want to be? Because it's a 1% improvement day by day. All right, so that's all I got for you today. I really enjoyed making this video. It's a little bit less scripted than my other ones, which I enjoyed. Wrote down my 20 points and I just kind of riffed and expanded on them. So I hope this helped you, and make sure you're subscribed and come back for the video next week.